Hey, good morning, everybody. I want to thank you for joining us. Today is Thursday, April 4th, the start of the second quarter, basically halfway through the week, almost through the week now. So, hey, I want to thank you for joining us today. Dave will be with us momentarily, but before he comes on, I did want to offer you folks something today for joining us. I want to offer you a free report on Social Security and some of the decisions that need to be made there. All you have to do to get it is text the word security to 863-285-3815. Text the word security to 863-285-3815 to get this free report on Social Security decision making. I hope you find it useful. Hold on, Dave will be with us in just a few moments.
40 here, 20 before 9. Let's check in and find out how Wall Street's doing and what are they doing with your money this morning. Go downtown to Sebring to find out what's happening. The offices of Statler Financial Services. Phillip Statler standing by. Phillip, good morning. How do?
Hey, good morning, Dave. Doing well today. How about you?
Can't complain in the least. We start out, of course, with the macro news that we normally start out. The government's kind of giving us the opposite picture of what we had yesterday. Private sector employment, according to ADP, was El Stinko last month, and then the government turns around, and our first-time unemployment claims, 202,000, the lowest since 1969, when we had about two-thirds as many people in the job market. Now all of a sudden, the first-time claims almost look like we're overheating unemployment. What's the picture mean, anyway?
Well, who knows? Because we're getting kind of a, hey, he said, she said number. And so I guess tomorrow will be the tiebreaker.
But that was kind of a curveball to throw you away at the same time, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, I mean, that was definitely good. I mean, 202,000 was better than the 217,000 that was expected. So, I mean, good numbers there. You're right. The ADP number did not reflect that same sentiment. And so it's going to be interesting to see what the jobs report looks like tomorrow coming out of the government.
My instinct, and I think you and I, before we went on the air, kind of agreed, is this just adds a whole pile of extra weight to that Friday report that gives us a monthly figure. It's always a big one, but having two reports that say we're going in opposite directions for the days preceding it, that's just going to make that 8:30 number tomorrow morning just way even heavier on investors, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And so, I think that plus the China deal is, the futures weren't looking, I mean, they're kind of really flat this morning, actually.
Mm-hmm. I find it kind of interesting. I mean, this is what happens when we've got a president that over-communicates sometimes. He's been saying that the talks are going along just fine. They expect him to announce a summit meeting with Chairman Xi, but everybody's kind of just shrugging and saying, let's wait, because we talk so doggone much out of this White House that everybody's kind of discounting some pretty positive noises coming out on the China trade talks.
Yeah, they are, and I find it interesting that you think they're going to get together. I think I saw a headline somewhere that said, "Don't hold your breath." That maybe this meeting is not sure exactly when they're going to make that announcement. So
kind of. I'm sorry, I was going to say it kind of gets into the point of we're over communicating from the White House, so nobody believes anything says.
Well, I think you're right. I think we're getting. Is there such a thing as too much news? I think maybe we may be getting a little too much news right now.
And it might be it. The other major news that comes out before we get to actual reports from the companies we trade is Boeing's worst nightmare almost hit with that leak out of the investigation of those last two crashes. It seems though the most recent crash of that jet, the pilots did everything they were supposed to do, and they still augured in. I don't see Boeing on my big loser list this morning, but maybe that's just because they're down about as far as they can go at this point.
Well, I don't know. They're still well above their 52-week low. But they're actually trading up about 0.8% right now.
Maybe it is just about as bad as it can get given current market conditions, huh?
That could be. They're up year to date. They're up 19%. So, there's room for it to go down more, but I guess maybe that people don't think this is big enough news to cause that yet.
Boy, kind of caught my eye when it came up on the consumer news this morning. A couple of household names reported as far as name brand beer and wine. Evidently, we're doing okay, but we may not be based upon what Constellation Brands said this morning.
That's right, and you didn't really know who Constellation was, but they're the big Ernest and Julio Gallo wine company. They do all those big wines. They also are the distributor and the producer of Corona beer, and then they have some spirits too. I looked through the list; nothing really caught my eye as being something that people that I know drink a lot of. So, but they did have a good quarter. They came in 13 cents ahead of estimates. Revenue also topped the street. And so they are trading, well, they were up a minute ago. Now they're down. So it's, I guess people are making their way through the fine tooth numbers there, and they're down about 0.25% right now.
Yeah, the thing that I read, and you're right, I didn't remember. I remembered it was a brand that had some brands that I recognized, and you reminded me quickly when you said Corona and Gallo. They gave out some guidance that one of my tip sheets, anyway, said was way below the expected earnings for the year to come. That seems to be the tiebreaker, and it ain't helping them even after a relatively gangbusters quarter.
Well, yeah, evidently it's not. They're not getting much bounce off of that, and so look for some more advertising to come out this quarter, I think.
We'll take it happily over here. Just call us, folks. Other reports.
So the only other thing I have, there's no really earnings reports, but I did want to mention Tesla. One of our favorite things to talk about. Tesla has come out and said that their deliveries are down 31% from where they were last quarter, which is not boding well for them. They're having some transportation issues trying to get cars to China and Europe. And so that seems to be what's causing the holdup there on deliveries. And so they're trading down about 10.5% this morning.
Ouch. I would imagine the fact that Sheryl Crow had a problem with her Tesla and hit Twitter complaining about it didn't help them a bit either. Gossip never helps, does it?
Well, especially from, popular people like that. So, but, they are getting close to their 52-week low, Dave. They're right now, they'll open at about $261 a share, and their 52-week low is $247.
That's another one of those companies that big talk and too much of it ends up causing some problems down the line. Elon Musk could afford to have his Twitter account disconnected as well.
Yeah, some days you're right. Hey, I did want to mention this. You and I didn't talk about this before we went on there, but yesterday after you and I spoke, the automobile numbers came out. And so, the domestic vehicles were a surprise by about 0.8. So it was about 6.2% better than expected. And then total vehicle sales came in by the same number. So I'm thinking domestic vehicle sales must have really kept them in line, was about 4.8% better than expected.
Was that a monthly or a quarterly number?
Good question. It doesn't tell me that number. It just tells me.
I was going to say, I do remember a tidbit about January was on the soft side, so I was kind of curious if that was a recovery or whether or not the whole quarter recovered.
I'm thinking that's probably the quarterly number.
In other words, good news. We had a good end to the quarter. That's
absolutely.
clear.
Yeah. Yep. So that was good.
Well, setting the table for this morning, yesterday was a green day, not a really big green day, but we'll take the color, 39 points up on the Dow. NASDAQ had a pretty good day. They were up 0.6%, 47 points. And the Standard & Poor's up by 6. Again, a modest up day on all three of the major indexes. Like we were saying earlier, this whole jobs thing, it enters a little bit of uncertainty into the equation. Which way we going this morning, Phillip, with an I don't know what's happening attitude on Wall Street?
It's a little mixed right now, Dave. The Dow is up $11, and the S&P 500 actually just went flat to zero, and the NASDAQ is down 9.5. Gold's trading down almost 7.5, down to $1,288 an ounce. And silver's back under 15 at $14.93 an ounce. And the only other green thing I have, Dave, is crude oil. It's up 0.3% to $62.65 a barrel.
Boy, it didn't take long to get from 60 to 62, did it?
No, and I did see something that said that it looks like it's kind of capping out around that 63, 64, maybe even 65. But the one little article that I caught the little bit of didn't seem to give much hope for it to go much over that right now, as long as we're in this discussion with China.
Well, as long as we keep going, just if it stops someplace controllable, I'll take it happily, right?
That's right. Absolutely.
Overseas markets this morning, it looks like China was as confused by our reports as we were. They were off. The Japan index was up a little bit, so we ended up with a mixed bag out of the Asian rim. Over in Europe, a mixed bag as well with the confusion in England over Brexit. That shouldn't be much of a surprise. German markets up a little this morning. Phillip, somebody want to straighten this out, put a picture onto retirement that could be rosy for you and your family. How do I find you on the phone?
Dave, they can give us a call at 382-0037, and then follow us on our Facebook page at Statler Financial Services. Like our page there. We post a lot of videos and stuff there, trying to keep you up to date. And join us every weekend for the Statler Financial Radio Show, noon on Saturdays, 10 a.m. Sunday mornings on News Talk 730.
And streaming on newstalk730am.com, which we're awful darn proud of, so we talk about it almost too much, right?
I don't think you can talk about it too much. People need to know it's out there and know it's available. So, hey, have a great day today, Dave, and I will talk to you in the morning.
Thank you so much, Phillip. We'll catch you then. It's 105.